Well, hello. Today what we're going to do is make a program where you can play the famous rock, paper, scissors game against a computer. Here I've got open the folder where we're keeping our Java source code, the files ending in .java, such as this is source code, and also we're generating our .class files in there as well. In practice, what people normally do is keep the source code and the class files in separate folders, but I don't think we need to worry about that at the moment. So here is the skeleton of our rock, paper, scissors game. I've called it Java Challenge 10 because we're following the Python challenges but translating them into Java. This is a skeleton for a minimal Java program. The class name, as always, is the same as the file name, and we've got a main method there. If we didn't have this bit's the main method. If we didn't have that, it would compile, but you couldn't run it. So let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is declare a couple of variables that will hold the choice that the computer makes. So the computer choice, I can't speak and type at the same time. The computer choice, and another variable to hold what the person playing the game is going to choose. So these variables are strings. A string is a bit of text, and the computer is going to choose a bit of text that's either going to be rock or paper or scissors. Okay. Right, first thing we've got to do is somehow the computer has got to choose one out of rock, paper, scissors. So how you can do that is by having the computer choose a random number between 0 and 1, and there's a method that is provided for you in Java that can do that. So I'm going to declare a variable called random and set it equal to math.random. Okay, now here we declared a variable on that line, we declared a variable on that line. This is the declaration, this bit. The name of the variable is random. We could have chosen anything. The data type is a double, so that's a number with a decimal part. And here we've both declared the variable and set it equal to something all on the same line. You're allowed to do that. And just to get us started so that we can see that it works, let's print it out and see what happens. Okay, so if I save that, and now let's compile it. So have a look at what's in that directory. You can see there's our Java Challenge 10.java. That's the source code file. There's already a class file because I did actually compile it once before starting the recording. Let's compile it again. So Java C for compiler, and then Java 10.java. Hopefully that will compile. Yep, and then let's run it. So Java Challenge 10 without the .java on the end this time. Now can you see it's printed a number between 0 and 1. if we run it a few more times, you can see we get a different number every time, but it's always between 0 and 1. That is what math.random does. It gives you back a random number between 0 and 1. So what we can do now is we can say if random is less than, say, 0.33. Now you have to, if statements, what they do is they test whether this is true or false, and the thing that you're testing, or the expression that you're testing, has to be inside brackets like that. So if the random number is less than a third, okay, now I know that's not exactly a third, but it's going to be good enough for our purposes. If it's less than a third, we'll set the computer choice equals a rock. Like that. Now if it's between a third and 2/3, so you can use an else for that. So if it's not less than a third, we can say, well, else if it's less than, say, 2/3, well, then I'm going to set the computer choice equal to paper. And the other possibility is that it's bigger than 2/3. Now there's no, I can just do else here, because the only other thing is that it could be bigger than 2/3. So else So just to summarize what we've done here, we generated a random number, we put it into that variable random, then so we could see what's going on, we just print that out. When we've got our finished program, we can get rid of this line or comment it out. And then we did a test. We said if random's less than a third, the computer's going to choose rock. If it's less than 2/3, it's going to choose paper, and otherwise we'll choose scissors. So it's not exactly a third, but that'll be good enough. And then what we'll do, so we can see what's happened, we're going to print out what the computer has chosen. So system out dot print line, and we'll print the computer choice. Now, I think now's the point to stop, test that it compiles, run it, and see if it does what we expect it to do. I tend to just test the program bit by bit as I go along if I'm writing anything in any way complicated, and this is a point I would stop and test that it works. So let's compile it. There we go. Compile it. Now let's try running it. Oops, there we go. Right, first time round it had a number that was less than a third, and because it was less than a third, the computer choice was set to rock, and that's what it printed out. Let's try running it again. Right, this time we've got something that is bigger than a third but less than 2/3. So it's less than 2/3 there, so we've got paper. And you can see that when we run it, we get a mixture of rock, paper, we get a mixture of rock, paper, scissors. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video here, and we'll pick up with a second video where we resume and do the next bit of the program.